is the return of Scarra.
I felt that I would be with Dig forever.
I got these new Nikes today to Dignitas colors.
They have to be happy about that one.
Clear calls, good plan, guys.
Clear calls, good plan.
And that is it. Dignitas takes it into the top 4.
He just understands like everything about being a pro player.
I don't know. I don't like this.
He knows exactly what it's like to be at the top and to also crumble.
Dignitas announced that legendary mid laner Scarra would be stepping down. He's already had a Hall of Fame career.
Everything he's been through it, like he's been in my shoes.
The rest of Dignitas should be out of time, but in fact it will drop. And there is a double kill for Scarra.
You want me to go like this?
Scarra looks to make an impact on the fight. There it is. Softens them up. Puts them down.
Up until they lose the game, they're winning. So
He just feels like a normal part of CLG now. This is going to be a really good year for him.
All right, good luck, guys. I'm out.
Shoot him off from distance.
Welcome to Week 4 of the North American League Championship Series, Spring Split. We're coming to you live in front of this fired-up crowd here in Los Angeles. And moments ago, we had Coast arriving at the studio. They are looking to snap a 4-game losing streak. And it looks like MASH may have brought a Valentine to the studio today. They, of course, going to have to do that against CLG, who arrived a little bit late, but with their coach Scarra here, it looks like coaching is a two-way street as Double Lift helps him with the tie there. They are fighting to defend their first-place position. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Great to have you with us for another action-packed Saturday. Hello, I'm James Patterson, and sharing their league expertise with us on the desk is Aiden's Irene Moon and Joshua Jat Leesman. How you guys doing today?
Doing well. Looked like Scarra hasn't done much tie practice. He walked in and was around his neck. I don't know if Double Lift is the best person to be helping him. I actually saw Double Lift failed, and they had to get Matcom help him with his ties. So it was a whole ordeal on top of the shuttle ordeal.
We'll have to have a little, we'll have a little class later about how to tie your tie.
I can't do it either. So.
I know, I was looking at
Oh, boy. Well, let's take a look at the latest news from the LCS. After a 3-week suspension, Scarra will be taking over active duty as CLG's coach on stage during Champ Select.
Yeah, this is really for ceremony more than anything else, because Scarra has been doing the majority of his coaching duties, which is all prep, at the CLG house. He has been their active coach for the last couple of weeks. Having him on stage is just going to allow them to bend a little bit more in Champion Select, but I know Link was taking over and kind of having final say in that already. So for all intents and purposes, we've seen Scarra's results so far as a coach with the pick composition, with the rotations for CLG and defining their style. Now we just get to see Scarra.
Yeah, and I also wonder if it'll change the friendship aspect of CLG, because that is one thing that really changed for CLG over the offseason. I remember I had a long conversation with Double Lift after they lost to Dignitas in the 6th place match and were basically forced into the relegation about how he just wanted to kind of have friends again, which at the time sounded like a really silly thing to say for team. Oh, yeah, I just want to be good buds with my team so we can be friends and get over issues. And it's like, isn't that how people thought about League like 3 years ago? Isn't it all about winning and just getting good players? But I wonder if you can have your cake and eat it too, because that's kind of what's happening with CLG. They seem to have good players in the positions, but also they're getting along, and Scarra can add to that environment.
Well, we'll see what sort of impact Scarra has with our first game of the day. But there's another group that's starting to make waves. After sitting around the bottom of the table for the first 2 weeks, Cloud9 have climbed into a tie for 3rd place and are just 2 games behind the leaders.
Yeah, so as far as Cloud9 looking better, it does begin and end with High, because in the games they were struggling, he was dying all the time with needless deaths. And when they were at their best, even if High would die, like, it's not always a bad thing to die as long as it's for a purpose. Last week he didn't die at all. So he was actually a little bit too far on one spectrum of safety, because I think an ideal High world is where he's actually dying a little bit, because he was losing his turret and giving up a lot of pressure. Although they started off 0-2, 1-1, 2-0. It's all uphill from here, but you can't do better than 2-0.
You can't do better than 2-0, but Cloud9 aren't the only team that started the split with high expectations. There were some other teams that have been struggling to live up to the hype in Liquid and Winterfox.
Yeah, since Liquid brought on Piglet, they haven't been using him effectively, and they've been 1-3 since acquiring him on the team. They need to synergize more and actually accentuate his strengths and cover some of his weaknesses, because that's currently what they're not doing, and they don't synergize at all. They played against a Dignitas squad last week that was struggling themselves and had new members on it, but they played a pick composition, Team Dignitas did, And they were able to pick up the stragglers on Liquid that were just running around. They didn't have the communication. They were not on the same page. And that's how that squad was able to pick up the victory. So Liquid need to look at their shot calling, their communication, and their synergy. But that's not something that just changes overnight. You can't just be like, you guys, synergize. It's something that takes time, but we're already 1/3 of the way through the season. So I don't know how much better they'll be able to get in such a short amount of time left, because it's only 9 weeks total.
Yeah, and the most troubling thing to me about Team Liquid is how they almost look to be trending in the wrong direction as far as team play works. And we talk about 80 carry score lines all the time, but I mean, week 1, 6-1-13 or 11 on Kog'Maw. Week 2, 9-1-12 on Caitlyn. And then across the next 4 games, a total of 4 kills from the 80 carry. But specifically, like you were saying, getting caught out of position against Dignitas, mid laners going overextended. It's going in the wrong direction for those guys, but they have out a tough schedule. They play Teammate and Gravity this week, which maybe gives them a little bit of hope.
Let's look at Winterfox now.
Yeah, so for Winterfox in particular, that's another team that's kind of just trying to survive. And it's not the story that Winterfox fans were hoping for coming into the year. You have Pobelter and Altec, 2 amazing talents that are now going to be backed up with basically a bunch of Korean talents that are supposed to be coming in. Helios bringing over his brother. Imagine is their support. They boot camped in Korea. They're going to play in Korean, but it just hasn't happened. Those guys still aren't here. And they're just playing for survival, trying to do these little strange gimmick strategies, and it's clearly not working. So at some point, they either have to get the people here or they have to start treating Glebe like a full-time starter.
Yeah, and Pobelter said himself that this is a summer split team. They're looking to just get through and then synergize later on. I think Liquid almost is in that situation as well, where they need that much time to get on the same page.
Yep, might be time to reorient your goals for the season. We'll see.
Maybe.
If you watched last week's action, though, there was one play that stood out, and that was Wild Turtle's Dragon Steal from across the map. Well, this week, Reddit was clamoring for a reaction shot of Wild Turtle as he made that 1 in a million shot. Now, it took some digging, but we found the footage as Wild Turtle calls in the airstrike. Now, you asked for it, so here it is. Let's take a look.
We see Lee and Mo. They're going for Drake.
Can I take
Take turret. Yeah. That's fine straight. We can set up in the red side jungle. We can we can just take the red side jungle. Alright? Do you want to do that?
I don't have any word.
Holy shit, you got it.
Nice.
Surprisingly changed.
It's just like another day at the office.
We got the crowd going crazy. I was cashing the game. I was like, what is that? And
That almost never happened.
Well, the thing is,
Almost never.
as an AD carry for Wild Turtle, he shoots off the rocket, and then he pays attention to the lane. If you're watching the rocket, you're going to die.
Exactly.
So no one's actually paying attention until they see the thing on the
He goes back to farming, and then everyone sees the little
Like,
tooltip pop up. Like, oh, okay, Dragon's nice.
He started to back at the start of that, and he's like, oh, I guess I'll throw the rocket out. And then he's like, oh, they're all doing Dragon? Let's just push. And they got so much for that because of that lucky play.
Yeah, it is amazing how things can turn on a dime. With that, of course, we'll keep an eye on Wild Turtle again this week because he's only 3 kills out of earning his membership to the prestigious 500 Kills Club.
Yeah, and the big thing is you can see he's got 10 fewer games than Double If, 14 fewer games than Cop. I like looking at this list mainly because it's the guys that have stuck around the NA LCS the longest and have still been able to perform at a high level. Long term, I wonder how Sneaky's going to be making it up at that list because he's got far fewer games seeing he didn't play in Spring Split of 2013.
Displaying their relevance. I love that. Now taking a look at the standings, CLG and TSM start the week tied for first place with only 1 loss on their records. Then it's a 5-way tie for third between Cloud9, Gravity, Teammate, Impulse, and Liquid. Dignitas and Winterfox are sharing 8th place, and Coast is in 10th. And in today's lineup, though, we got some big games. We've got Coast looking to snap their losing streak against Counterlogic Gaming in our first game of the day after Winterfox will face off against Team Impulse, and we'll close out the day with Gravity versus TSM. Now, if you've updated your client, then you have no doubt noticed that Heartseeker Varus and Sweetheart Annie are now available, and just in time for Valentine's Day. Who would have guessed, right?
Who would have guessed?
And if your response to our Twitter question of the day makes it into our broadcast, you'll earn a code to unlock these new skins. We're asking, what's your NALCS-themed Valentine's Day message or meme? For example, Saint retweeted one that read, "When you're gone, you're like Smite. I miss you." Isn't that?
Yeah, always making fun of himself. I mean, it is a talent in itself to be able to poke fun. And Saint, just pick Callista on Cop and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, there you go. Very, very, very clever. Of course, he can't win that skin, so it's up to you. You at home can send yours to @LOLesports and remember to use the hashtag LCS. But now we're going to throw it over to the guys at the caster desk to get the games underway.